Hello. The last one didn't work. Luckily, somebody told me, so I'm doing it again. I didn't see the comments in the comment thing till I'd finished. So if you're watching again, David, say something or shout or do whatever you can. Let me know if it's working or not, because obviously I don't want to do another 20 minutes for nothing. Right, the power of evil. I've just done this before, but I'll do it again because it didn't work. Satan, the devil, evil, darkness, it's all the same thing. See that light above me there? It's still there, but you can't see it. It's all one thing. It doesn't matter what you call it. I call it Satan because it's convenient. It's a dark cloud that blocks things out, but it's got no power of its own. You have to invite it in. You have to believe it's real. But Satan itself is just a power. It's not an individual. It gets into individuals. The individuals do very bad things, tell you they're good things, get your trust, and then breach your trust. So it's just like looking after children. You're babysitting and then you poison them. It's very unfortunate and it happens. And the children are completely innocent. But if somebody comes in and says, all right, I can see what you're doing, get out, you're protected. So really, we've got to save people. And we've got to save people from the biggest takeover of evil, certainly in my lifetime. Because this is presumably a battle, a spiritual battle between the worst and the best. We're destined to get rid of the worst. So what's happening is it's our teacher, on a spiritual factor. We've got to get rid of it because it's all based on illusion. And the reason there's so much evil now is because it's all come out. It's all come up from behind the scenes in its various forms to show itself. As I say, it's like a cloud. It descends on people. The people who are carrying the satanic energy are ruling the place and running the show and telling you they're there to look after you and help you. As I say, they're babysitting us, doing things for us we can't do for ourselves, and then they breach the trust and we are ruined and destroyed, and then it's too late. So by the time you realise it, because they've hurt you, it's too late. So people really need to recognise how it operates in the formula, and then they will see the very simple formula and reject it, because without actually agreeing to it, nobody's going to vote for Agenda 21 if they know what it means. Nobody's going to vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump if they realise what he's actually going to do to you and everybody else like you who thought he was going to help you. And believe me, he won't do anything of the sort, because if you're hypnotised and you're in a cult, it's very difficult to get you out. Some people awaken naturally when it affects them directly. So when these COVID restrictions that block roads to stop the virus, that makes a lot of sense, just like stopping you at 10 o'clock, kick you out of the pub at 10 o'clock because you might catch the virus more at 10 o'clock or whatever, or lower the speed limit from 30 to 20 because you'll get the virus more. And then they can't get out of their house, or ambulance can't come because the road's been blocked. They say, fuck this shit. What the hell are they doing? Then they realise that everything else before that was just as bad, and they didn't realise it. They say, my God, how could I be so bloody stupid to realise now what's happened? And you look back and then you realise all the other things that they were trying to fool you, make you freeze of cold because you can't afford your energy bills to change the climate in 100 years, that sort of thing. Nobody would see climate change. Nobody would see white privilege. Nobody would see the virus. The virus is there, but you haven't got this ultraviolet light to see the virus coming out of people so you can avoid it. Neither have you got the ultraviolet light to see Satan, but you can work it out. You can't work out if somebody's got the virus, but you can easily work out by the signs that people are not there to look after you, whatever they're saying. If they're making you do really nasty, unpleasant things that you would never do normally, and you can't work out the reason why directly, they're telling you why, but it doesn't really happen right now. It might be and could be, and possibly in the future, and your grandchildren might suffer and all that. Bit dubious, bit of a, if you don't pay us £5, your car won't get stolen. Well, why would my car get stolen? Well, if you don't give us £5, you'll find out. Your building will burn down if you don't give us £1,000 a year. Why? Well, it burn down otherwise. Why would it burn down? Well, it just might, well, maybe they're going to do it. The worst people in the world are those who say they're going to help you. And, we're going to put out your fire. Oh, there's no work for firemen. Let's create a few fires to make sure firemen have got work. Let's create some cancer to make sure doctors and pharmaceutical companies have got work. People actually do it. You know, there was a lighthouse in Scotland a few hundred years ago. And they said, oh, we don't want the lighthouse. Why not? Because we're making a huge amount of money from the shipwrecks. We're taking all the salvage from the shipwrecks. We don't want people to get protected from being killed and drowned because we want to steal all their stuff. And this unfortunately, is satanic power. When Satan has got you, he's got you good and proper. But the people who are leading this thing, the politicians, the businessmen who are all in charge, they are actually Satan, because it's not one person. I am Legion. It's a force. It's this cloud. It's filling them with satanic power, and they're fooling all the other people, all the masses, the useful idiots, as Lenin called them. And that in itself is going to basically take over unless we stop it being taken over. So as I say, I don't believe there's a particular way to take individuals out of it. It's the most powerful hypnosis, like being in a cult. All you can do is just tell them the truth and not stand up to their crap. Don't get into arguments. It's not worth it. You'll never persuade somebody. It'll drive you mad. You know, if somebody says that you can change sex from a man to a woman, say, no, you can't. I don't want an argument. That's biology, you know, end of. And just move away. Just go, because it's not worth. But you've got to literally stand up to these people, because if you go along with them, you'll become one of them. You know, I am bald. You'll get one of those little parasites in your head, and you'll be one of them within 5 minutes. So it's no good doing nothing or just wanting a quiet life. If you are either a neutral or already red-pilled, you've got to fight for the army just through rejection and explanation. And maybe somebody will listen to you. If you save a soul, it's a miracle. But the best we can do is educate the people who are neutral and in the middle and prepared to listen. And they'll look around and they'll see it, because people who are saying that they're helping you and they're actually making you worse aren't really helping you. Because under communism and things like that, you might get the basics, but if you haven't got the freedom, you're in prison. You know, people in prison have got all free accommodation and food and everything, but it's a punishment. And if you're in a house and you can't go out of the house, or you can't travel, you can't say what you want, you haven't got freedom of speech, and you can't afford what you want because you're only getting limited amounts of money, and they're making your energy and food and water more expensive for climate change. Who's suffering now? You are. Who's going to be benefiting in the future? You don't know, because you can't prove it. Because there's no actual direct proof or evidence of any of this stuff. So if somebody tells you, you know, the climate's changing, just say, you know, I've done my research. I don't believe it is, and I don't believe we're doing it, and I don't believe it'll be harmful. And, you know, we can actually adapt very well to these very slow, very long-term changes, which we always have done. And whether, even if mankind was causing a slight warming, it wouldn't actually be worse, because history has proved time and time again that warmer is the better, and it's the ice ages which hurt. So that's the logic behind it, just so you know. But the point is that people will be bombarding you with this shit day in and day out. Oh, white privilege exists. Well, you know, does white privilege exist in Africa? Yes. Why? Well, why does it exist in Europe? Oh, because the majority enforce their wishes on everybody else. Okay, so if you're in Africa, you're not the majority. Do you still have white privilege? Yes. Why? Then they stop, because they don't actually have an answer to it, because nobody has worked out that white privilege means white supremacy. Because what they're actually saying is that they believe that white people anywhere in the world will do better than black people. Well, that's white supremacy, which is racist. So, you know, they are racists, and I've just proved it. So basically, they're talking shit. Everybody who is woke, or whatever you would like to call it, is talking absolute rubbish, because the people who have created it, critical theory, all that stuff, it's the same as communism, it's the same as Nazism, propaganda, Mao, Great Leap Forward, the Great Reset, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, it's all the same thing, of the people who are possessed by Satan wanting to turn us into prisoners one way or another. Don't ask why, it doesn't matter why. They are psychopaths, they are evil. The only why in it is for us to wake up, to recognize it, to learn discrimination, and to reject it. Because it's all an illusion. All this stuff that, you know, you're going to hurt somebody by driving your car somewhere because it's going to put up the temperature by 0.0001 of a degree in a million years, sort of weird insurance policy protection racket system, which You know, I'm buying an insurance policy that pays out when I'm 200 years old and it'll make me a multi-millionaire. Oh, I won't be alive to see it, but you'll get 200 million years, 200 million pounds, whatever, but I'll be dead. It's that sort of logic or lack of logic. And it's such poor logic, it's such faulty illusions, it's such weak illusions. It's very easy to break through if you're prepared to do it. So the most important thing is to recognize this and reject it, because if you reject it, it'll be gone. Britain got out of the EU. We're the first country in the world to democratically leave an oppressive system. Okay, Russia, you know, the USSR did it somehow as well. Good luck to them. Don't quite know how it happened. That was almost like a miracle. One day they were communists, the next day they weren't. But with the EU, it was a very structured system designed to keep people in and attract them. We rejected it because we were red-pilled. We woke up. And how many MPs did we have that rejected the EU? Two MPs, we got there without it. But how did it happen? Because we had proportional representation in the European Parliament, and the European Parliament was swamped 2 elections running by anti-EU British parties, which gave the message we don't want to be in it. So we got the referendum and we left with 2 actual elected MPs. Therefore, in all the countries in Europe and where they have proportional representation, all you need to do is get enough red-pilled, non-satanic parties. You know, you'll know who they are because they reject all the woke, climate change, green, block all the roads, keep energy expensive, eat insect crap, Agenda 21 basically, and you'll have a much nicer life. You will be free and you'll make your own rules and regulations and only have the criminal law and the civil law to keep people civilized without all these extra rules and regulations to make you suffer, because suffer you do and suffer you will. And if they're making you suffer for a greater good, they are totalitarian and they are doing what Marx did, what Stalin did, what Mao did, what all the people did who will oppress as many people as possible while they are not being oppressed. So it's about recognizing it, because ultimately it's a spiritual fight. These people are our teachers. You can't have a goal of getting rid of your enemy until you know who the enemy is. As I say, with the virus, if you could spray people to see whether they had it or not, we could isolate them and get rid of it in a short time. But we can spray our visual, our knowledge onto these bad people and see the clouds of nastiness, the blackness around them, as in darkness, dark forces, blocking goodness. And if you're going to use your own intuition, you can even do it by looking at a photo of someone and making it see how you feel. So get something like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, like them or hate them. Better still the people that like them, because they'll feel something they're not expecting. The people that hate them will be sort of, yes, it feels just like I expected it to. But the point is, you cannot hide your intuition. You can't hide what you feel in your heart. So get Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, tune in and feel in your heart. What do I feel? Clear your mind. What are they making me feel? Look at them and you'll know. And it works, and I can do it with just about anybody. Some people will put up a great big barrier towards it and you won't feel it. That's not your fault. That's just because they're particularly good at hiding it. But for everyone else, 99% of people more, you'll get it easily. And it's a very good way of picking out, you know, like a virus test, picking out the positives. You get a few false positives and negatives. You get the odd one that seems good and they're not, because they can cover it up. But if they're bad, boy, you'll feel that. And that's the energy. You tune in on that energy and you'll pick it up wherever you go. And you won't be able to miss it, because people are carrying it, people are giving it because they're carrying it inside, and then people are followers. You've got the leaders who are Satan, who are carrying it, and the followers who are Satan's followers, who are basically his minions, who are going around saying Satan is good, do what Satan says, you'll die if you don't do what Satan says. What do I have to do? Well, you can't turn left outside your house because we've blocked the road. What's that got to do with anything? Well, that'll stop you catching the virus. Why? Because we said so. You know, it's like that. It's just basically make things as nasty as possible because we said so, and then they'll give you all this cock and bull story, which, you know, doesn't make any sense. And when your family have lost somebody because the ambulance can't get there in time because of the road humps, then you'll say, hang on a minute, what's the point of slowing down the traffic to 20 miles an hour if it stops the ambulance getting here in time? Not because the ambulance is regulated by the speed limit. The ambulance can't actually do more than 20 miles an hour, because if it goes over the road humps any faster, it'll firstly hurt the people in it and secondly damage the equipment. So they've got to go very slowly over the road humps. Whereas if they're going straight, they can go very quickly because it's not bouncing you up and down at the same time. You see, very sensible, very simple, and very logical. So I'm giving you a very simple formula here. Satan, the power of darkness, the devil, evil, whatever you want to call it, isn't a force in itself. It's a vacuum. It's a lack of something. It's an emptiness, which is just simply blocking everything that's behind it. And if you take it away because you can see it, it'll go away. And if you take away the power from the people that are doing it, as I say, Satan cannot enter your house. Satan has to knock on the door and make out that he's going to give you free food and everything. He'll come in welcome, and then he'll shoot you, rape your wife and children, and bugger off laughing. And that's what they always do. And that's the lesson that you've learned. Do you want to learn by bitter experience, or do you want to protect yourself, see it coming, get out the way, and warn everyone else in the house, Satan's coming, get out the way, don't let him in? It's as simple as that. I hope you now have enough means to recognize Satan, reject it, and then pass it on to the people who understand it but would like to understand it better. The people are already on the good side, so that they can explain it to others. Everyone needs to know this. The more people that know it, the fewer people will be useful idiots and be able to spread the rubbish to pass it on, because we'll be vaccinated, we'll be immune. We will know, no, sorry, there aren't more than two sexes. There's X, Y, intersex, that's it. You can't change sex. You can't be non-binary. Climate change cannot really do very much, because everything that's happening now has happened before. It's not happening any more now than it did before. It can't happen any more now than it did before, for various reasons, which would take weeks to explain. But I've looked at those reasons, and I can confirm history says that a slight warming in temperature is good. It's not even bad, it's actually good and beneficial. And Arrhenius, who created this idea of CO2 being a greenhouse gas, explains that all their stuff is a very poor illusion, because it's telling you bollocks. All of it is bollocks. You know, all these bike lanes going up because of COVID. What's the connection between narrowing and blocking roads and stopping a virus? Well, you tell me. But they're getting away with it, and there are enough people who believe it because they can't actually use their minds to analyse it. And I say there's loads of really nice people I know who are very relieved that Biden got in. They're not bad people. They just haven't got a clue what's going on, because they don't know what Satan is. They probably don't believe in Satan. They don't believe in dark forces, anything spiritual. All they believe is what they see, what they're told. And, you know, I've got a nice wife and family and job, and I'm getting on with it. And who cares what's going on outside? They say Biden's a good guy, and all the media hate Trump, so he must be a bad guy. So we're pleased Biden got in. Biden will screw them up the arse if they're in America, and it'll screw them up the arse if they're in England, because we'll copy everything they do, because we always do. So there's no point being a useful idiot, because they'll get screwed just as much as you and I, who know what's coming. And they're lovely people. I don't hate them for it. I don't dislike them for it. They're just ignorant. They do not know what they're doing. So you don't fight them. You don't argue with them. You don't say, well, you're my enemy. The enemies are the people who are putting this stuff out from the top, who know it's wrong. These people aren't enemies. They're just dull people who can't actually grasp anything that's below the surface. They see the book and it says Black Lives Matter. Oh, Black Lives Matter, you mustn't be against them. Well, you know, if you call yourself Black Lives Matter and you're a mafia group of bank robbers, but you call yourself Black Lives Matter like Antifa do, I'm anti-fascist, but I go out smashing up and burning buildings. Well, judge people though by their actions, not by their names. You know, if Harold Shipman called himself Jesus, he would still be a mass murderer. But this illusion is so easy. You can persuade people just about anything, and they're dim enough and they believe it, and you can't help them. There's nothing you can do. They've got to wake up on their own. But for those of us that aren't like that, and you can spread the word around, give them the chance to learn. You know, even if 1 in 1,000 of them is prepared to listen, it all helps, because they could wake up sooner or later. We only need 20-30% of people to wake up, and that would be enough to reject it. We don't need half. We don't need more than half. 20 or 30% is easily enough, because it'll dismantle the whole thing. They'll kick out these parties who push Agenda 21 and the Great Reset and everything else. And eventually it'll come apart, because there won't be the support system to keep the illusions going. But until you know how it works and how this power works, you can't dismantle it. Anyway, hopefully you will understand that, and you did understand what I said, because the microphone keeps messing up on this, and it may have messed up again. So for those of you watching, thank you, and pass the word on, because we need this to get to as many people as possible. Goodbye.